Okay, where was I? Where was I? All right, so about this hit piece. About this hit piece. Number 5, exposing the attempts to hide the ties between Justice Democrats and the Sunrise Movement. Justice Democrats and the Sunrise Movement want us to believe they barely know each other. But these two organizations are interconnected, as their logos suggest. Oh, this is interesting. Hold up. And they are flaunting it in our faces. Okay, hold up. I'm going to flip this camera for this one. Okay, so you see every single one of these say show this thread. So I don't know if like each one of these has a side thread on it. Okay, so here's the... Oh, wait, do I need sound on? Oh, no, there's no sound for that. But look, so they're saying that the logos are the same. They're saying that there's some interconnectivity with these logos. Well, they could have just hired the same designer. I don't know. I'm not going to... I'm still not ready to make assumptions in that regard. All right, number 6. Exposing the ties between and among the operatives behind Occupy Wall Street, Momentum Training Institute, and the Bernie 2016 campaign, Justice Democrats, and the Sunrise Movement. Introducing the interconnected group turning progressives against the Democratic Party. A group of 17 people have overlapping connections to 5 groups working to turn progressives against the Democratic Party. Who are they and how are they connected? I have terrible eyesight. Let me see if I can actually read this image. Okay, it's got Cenk Uygur, Corbin Trent. I can't read. It's not a very clear image. I don't know all of these names. They put Alex on it. They put Psych Cat. I don't know all of these people. And it's really like it's a very diluted image. It's hard to read. Number 7, Rokhana. Okay, so he's on there. Yeah. Rokhana's data theft. Okay, Silicon Valley began positioning Rokhana to run for Congress in 2011, which is when Nazi sympathizer and staunch Trump ally Peter Thiel, if I'm saying his name correct, I don't know if I'm saying his name correct, began funding both Rokhana and Chakrabarti's Stripe. In 2012, an op was launched to steal Mike Honda's donor data. Okay, so let me throw some of my own information into this because that just fucking rang a bell for me. That rang a bell for me. Niko House is funded by what's-her-face. I'll have to look up the name for you, but she also has some sort of connection to like a credit card company or like a she has a similar sort of business in her background, and she's been allegedly funding Niko House. And Tim Black just recently did a live stream exposing, he didn't say Niko's name, but he was describing Niko House in the live stream and talking about how he has a mommy Warbucks. And the person that he was describing is very similar to a person that, I don't know if you guys all remember, but there used to be an activist named Billy Taylor, or I think so, I think that was his name, who swung a chair around and was menacing Bernie Sanders back in 2019. He went live with, he used to do live streams, and he did a live stream accusing Niko House and this other woman of a bunch of stuff in regards to being fake and screwing up, like it's pressing smear campaigns and stuff. So it's weird because there is some truth to what I'm reading here, and I have additional details in my head from what I've observed from other activists, other live streamers, other people who have knowledge in this area. So there are, like, I have additional connected information that, but at the same time, some of it looks very Hillary sort of influenced, and so it's hard to say how much of this is a smear campaign and how much of it is actually based on truth. And that's usually how smear campaigns actually work, is that it's based on some semblance of truth but embellished. However, the pieces that when you take away the Hillary spin out of this, it actually is still pretty damning, right? It's still pretty damning when you take out the Hillary spin. All right. So I don't know about, I'm literally just reading this to you. These are not my words. This is a thread I'm reading to you, okay? All right. Number 8, exposing Rokhana's 10-year relationship with Trump-supporting Nazi sympathizer Peter Thiel. Since Rokhana can't quit me and keeps replying to my tweets with lies, let's dig into his relationship. Oh, so I guess Rokhana has been replying to this particular account that is dumping this information. I don't know. Let's dig into his relationship with Peter Thiel. In this leaked 2015 email, we can see Khanna's campaign manager bragging that Thiel supports Khanna. WikiLeaks.org, Podesta emails. It's another thread. Each one of these has an additional thread. I'm not going to go through every single one of these threads, but I will drop you the link. Okay? Number 9, explaining how Russia worked to infiltrate Occupy Wall Street and compromise its leaders. In November 27th, oh man, I'm looking at the dates on these now. This is old shit. This is like a collection of a ton of various threads of information that this particular Twitter account has been dumping for quite a while, it looks like. Okay, in November 2017, former Occupy Wall Street ringleader Micah White came clean that Russia had tried for years to recruit him as an operative. How many other Occupy Wall Street leaders were approached and or compromised by Russia? And then there's a link to an article. Again, another thread. I can't go through each one of these threads individually. I can't. But I will drop you the main thread, and if you want to explore this and check it out, that's up to you. These are some heavy claims. It sounds like speculation. It sounds like there's some assumptions being drawn here. But as somebody who has been volunteering in politics for 5 years, I can tell you that it does seem very strange the way the progressive, so-called progressives in California operate at the local level and how militant and mafioso they act. That being said, I cannot confirm, deny, whatever with what I'm reading here. I think a lot of this might be speculation, but a lot of it could, in fact, be truth. I don't know. Okay, number 10, Rokhana and meritocracy. Rokhana is a staunch supporter of the social Darwinism concept of meritocracy, which holds that advancement should be based on one's resume and ignores the impact of historical inequality and structural racism. Let's take a look. Another thread. There's each one of these posts is an entirely, like a whole thread attached to it. And I'm not going through each thread to examine all of the evidence, okay? This apparently was posted in April, but it was just sent to me. It was just sent to me today, but it was posted in April. Number 11, explaining how the Progressive Training Institute, known as Momentum, generates ops against the Democratic Party. Momentum is a training institute for progressive protest movements against the Democratic Party. The protests are made to appear organic, but are manufactured and carefully scripted. To understand their methods, read on. Another thread. Number 12, top 10 reasons to find Rokhana repugnant. Oh, God. We got another list. We got another fucking list. I'm just going to read the first post. I'm not going through this thread. Number 1, Rokhana was sued for stealing Mike Honda's donor data in connection with his 2016 primary campaign. So apparently there's like a top 10 list that goes down that particular thread. 13, an open letter to the Justice Democrats. We know who you are, where you came from, and who you are working for. We've ignored your attempts to undermine the Democratic Party for the last 5 years and focused on defeating Trump. But now the gloves are off. Oh, that's another fucking thread. That's another fucking thread. Holy crap. These are all just... Okay. This one's not necessary, guys. Number 14. That's not necessary. 14 says Jamal Bowman represents the Working Families Party, not the Democratic Party. The Working Families Party caucuses with the Democratic Party. I don't know why my phone keeps doing this bullshit. All right, the Working Families Party caucuses with the Democratic Party, but they are like probably the most legitimate third party trying to actually get started up and have something separate. Justice Democrat Jamal Bowman will be ripping off his Democratic Party mask and revealing his opposition to the party by rebutting Biden's speech to Congress on behalf of another political party called the Working Families Party. Let's dig into Bowman. Okay, so that's another thread, and another entire thread. By the way, let me just point out, since you guys are tearing into Alex Ocasio-Cortez and you're tearing into Jamal Bowman, these folks did not... I don't know why it keeps doing that. It keeps doing that. These folks did not go against Nancy Pelosi's re-election to, what the hell is she? Speaker of the House. I can't remember what she's called. They didn't go against it, even though they were asked to, even though they were getting tremendous social pressure from Jimmy Dore and the Convo Couch and the Movement for the People's Party and all these bullshit people who are the actual ones that you're talking about. Those are the actual people you're talking about in this thread. The squad didn't do it. They didn't. Because they are, as far as I can tell, they're actually in earnest in what they want to do in Congress. They didn't go along with this bullshit. Like I said, it seems like there are some elements of truth to this particular dump, but it is exaggerated. It's exaggerated because Jamal Bowman, they none of them went against. I mean, they didn't. And just because they have an opposition, they have like an opposition analysis to Biden's speech, doesn't mean that they're not willing to caucus with Democrats and to work with Democrats and to be Democrats. The Democrats are the big tent party. Most of us disagree. That's why it's hard to get everybody to fall in line. Okay. Number 15. Justice Democrats use dirty tricks to replace Eliot Engel with Jamal Bowman in Congress. Okay, so this person's bitter about that particular race. Jamal Bowman and Justice Democrats ran a momentum op on Eliot Engel in the 2020 primary. They manufactured an alleged Goff by Engel, and they were prepared to pounce on it with a coordinated smear campaign, and then they confessed. There's a thread on that too. I have been saying for a very long time that there are folks in progressive politics who are relying way the fuck too heavy on negative messaging and smear campaigns, especially in California, especially under Karen Bernal and Norman Solomon. And these groups are working with Norman Solomon's Roots Action, and they have connections to all of that live stream network. They do. But what I also have found is that a lot of our candidates are doing their best to work with everyone. And so just because you work with, you allow Roots Action to come in, or you allow the Progressive Caucus to come in, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to agree with them on every single thing. But that being said, we really need you all as our candidates and representatives to identify who the problem people are and stop working with them and stop elevating them. Because we should not be operating through negative messaging and smear campaigns against other Democrats. Unless you're going to talk about like, oh, they're taking corporate money. Sure. As long as they actually did that. Like, for instance, the action that they're planning on Saturday is based on what they say the party was offered police union money and turned it down. That's a moot fucking point. They turned it down. All right. 16, Operation Sandy. How an unknown woman named Sandy Ocasio, now known as AOC, helped promote a false narrative that the 2016 Democratic primary in New York was rigged against Bernie Sanders. Operation Sandy. In April 2016, the Bernie 2016 campaign ran an op to convince voters that the New York Democratic primary was rigged for Hillary. The main operative working on this operation was a woman no one had heard of before. Her name was Alexandria Sandy Ocasio-Cortez. Okay. It seems to me that particular part of this hit piece is just saying that she used to go by a nickname. Who the fuck cares? I mean, that's literally the exact same smear campaign that they dropped on Don Ford a couple years back when they're like, but your real name is Brandon Nelson. And he's like, yeah, well, I decided that I wanted to be more non-binary, and so I shortened it from Brandon to Don. And I took my wife's last name, which, by the way, that's not her last name. Her last name is Sanford. But he also, one of his other stories is that he chose Don Ford because he wanted a president's name and that he fancies one day he'll get elected president. But anyway, who cares if she had a fucking nickname? And that is kind of the whole thesis of the progressive movement from 2016 forward, is that we felt like we got cheated because of the delegate system. And that the only way, the super delegate system, the only way we could fix that was if we entered and reformed the party. I don't know what this particular thread is going to go into, but I don't see a problem with people entering and reforming the party. I don't see a problem with that. Okay. God, how long is this fucking thread? Holy crap. 17, a list of momentum ops. Momentum is a grassroots movement incubator that forms protest groups and trains them to run operations against the Democratic Party. Here are the various groups that spot. This one I actually do want to open up. See if I can open this one. Okay, it's just basically a list of like the organizations like Justice Democrats, Sunrise Movement. This kind of, there's some repeat in some of this. Okay. All right. That's not what, by the way, I've participated in some of those groups. That's not what they, I mean, unless like I'm missing like some of the recent, I know that when I organize, that's not what I fucking teach people to do. When I have my chapter meetings, I'm not teaching people how to be disruptors to the party. I'm teaching them how to participate and debate and, you know, advance our policy. Okay, that one's weird. Okay, 18. Max Berger is the architect of the Justice Democrats' campaign against Israel. Here we go. And he's been working on it for a decade. Okay, so I think we can now figure out like who's behind Left Splintered. I think we've just figured out who's behind Left Splintered. Max Berger is behind the Justice Democrats' anti-Semitic stance against Israel. Before joining Justice Dems, Berger was a ringleader of Occupy Wall Street and a co-founder of Momentum and its anti-Israel movement, if not now. All right, so that's a difficult topic because Israel is a very right-wing government and it's engaging in apartheid. And there are some people who really want them to just be gone, which that would be your anti-Semitic stance of they're just gone. And there are people who just want to make sure that they stop taking land from the Palestinians and give them some space to live and breathe and stop doing what they do. So it's a difficult topic. But if this is like an IPAC hit piece, then it makes the information useless. You started out with some solid information that could have been something, but you threw in so much bullshit into this that it's like useless. How long does it even fucking go on for? Okay. The Justice Democrats have told us repeatedly they are the Tea Party of the left. Are they going to let them take over? Are we going to let them take over the Democratic Party? You know what? Left Splintered. Before you get into that, let me tell you straight up that Indivisible actually took Tea Party training materials to create their organization. And that organization was basically the Hillary version of our revolution. It's the Hillary version of our revolution, and they legit took the Tea Party training materials to form it. Democrats watched in horror as the GOP was taken over, radicalized, and corrupted by the Tea Party. AOC and Justice Democrats admit to being the Tea Party of the left, seeking to do the same thing to the Democratic Party. Yeah, but literally, you created Indivisible, invested a ton of corporate money into that fucking group, and did exactly that. You took their actual training materials and rewrote it to be Indivisible materials. You legit did exactly the same thing. Okay. All right. Populism. Is it? Okay, this is a typo. Is it and why is it dangerous? Okay. Populism is an ideological framework fueled by a set of grievances that some members of society have against others. Populism casts the group with the grievances as the people, and their grievance is against the elite. That's an interesting way to define it. I don't think that that's how it would actually be defined in Wikipedia or like an actual dictionary, but okay. Like I said, each one of these also has an entirely different thread attached to it. 21, Justice Democrats and left-wing populists. In 2017, Waleed Shahid explained in a video that Justice Democrats are left-wing populists who view politics as a class struggle rather than Democrats against Republicans or liberals against conservatives. Why? Well, I mean, I'm going to stop here because these videos are getting too long. That is accurate, but I think your point is probably that they're trying to exclude what they consider to be identity politics, which I've talked about this a lot as well, that if you're excluding what you consider to be identity politics, then you're going to miss the individual needs of certain disenfranchised communities. And so it's important to be inclusive of what some may consider identity politics in addition to the economic politics. All right, I'm going to stop there for now because I don't even know how long this thing is.